Okay, good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Town of Port Royal's first meeting of the year. Happy New Year. It's cold outside. People aren't going outside. And we're live on Facebook as well, too. So if everyone watching out there, hope everyone's having a happy New Year so far. 2025 is going to be a great year for the Town of Port Royal. We're all very excited about it. Hope everybody had a good holidays. As you know, it's going to be cold for a couple days, but that's all right. It is winter time. It's bound to happen. So up first, we've got our public hearing. Purpose of this is to talk about ordinance 2024-20, an ordinance to authorize the town manager to convey excess real property to facilitate construction of sidewalks within the town described as Beaufort County Tax District 110, map 11, parcel 0466, 0467, and 105A, better known as 705 and 701 14th Street and 1508 Old Shell Road, about 438 feet. Is there any public comment on the sidewalk? Hearing none, we will close the public hearing. First meeting done. That was easy. Wow. Absolutely. So, all right, now we're moving right into our council workshop. First off, we've got a presentation here, Beaufort Jasper Water and Sewer Authority. So I want to introduce Mr. David Strange. David Strange, as you know, we have a board with the Water Authority, and our representative for the town is Mr. David Strange. He does a great job on there. We thank you very much for your service on that. And yeah, if you want to come up to the lectern and get the presentation
Thank you, Mayor.
started. Yes, sir.
Council members, nice to be back with you again, and Happy New Year. So just as a matter of introduction, you may recall that I was appointed to the board and started to serve in May of 2022. Shortly thereafter, we found out that our current general manager desired to retire. So he gave us nice notice, good amount of notice. And the benefit to that for us was really we had an opportunity to do a really thorough search. We had over 100 applications for the position, and we took our time. We went through several phases and interviews, and we overwhelmingly believed at that time that Verna Arnett was the right person to lead us forward through the challenges and opportunities that the authority was going to have. That has proved to be a very wise decision, we believe, on our part. She's taken the initiative to reorganize a lot of the lines of reporting, departmental heads, has hired some really good people in engineering and operations, planning, capital program management, and on and on. And so we're very pleased that we can be here and give you what I think is a state of the authority at this point in time. One of the other really brilliant hires that she made during the course of the past year is Charlie Stone. Charlie came to us from the Beaufort County Economic Development Commission, and he's been doing a great job of communicating with all of the municipalities and governmental officials that we serve and work with, and been really good at his job as well. So the two of them are going to give you an overview of where we are and where we're headed.
Great.
And appreciate the time.
Yeah, thank you, David.
So,
Thank you.
Thank you, Dave, for everything
Thank
you
you.
did for us on that board. Appreciate it.
sure thing. Yeah.
Hey, just really quick, Miss
Yes.
Arnett, because
Yes.
we've spoken. So where did you come from when you moved down here?
So I came from Cincinnati,
Cincinnati,
Ohio.
right.
Yeah, where it's, as I understand it, 18 degrees and lots of snow right now. So I'm really enjoying, even though it's cold here, it's still a very beautiful area. And very glad to be here, and thank you for that wonderful, nice introduction.
Can I say something real quick?
Sure.
Because I just want to say, because I think what he just said is correct. They're a great hire, and I see this place is really attracting a lot of great talent. You're coming from Cincinnati, and when we talked, how much water a day do we do here?
Do we pump?
Yeah.
Probably average, I don't know, anywhere between 18 and 22 million
And what was
gallons per day.
Cincinnati? What did you oversee?
We
in
average
Cincinnati?
about 120 million gallons, so.
Exactly.
Well,
So no, yeah, I mean, I see that happening. I mean, with the chief back there, we're just seeing a lot of great talent from other large regions, you know, and we're getting that opportunity to really pull great people here. So I didn't want to
Yeah,
take
no,
away from your
thank you.
presentation, but when we were talking about that, I was just like, wow, that really, if you can handle all of that, I mean, you know, you're probably a great person for the job. here.
Well, it's interesting because the system I came from, we served 1.2 million people.
Wow.
But it's the same service area size as Beaufort Jaspers. So it's, when we say large, it depends on how you define
Yeah.
what large means. There's actually a lot of similarities. We have 2 water treatment plants.
Okay.
They have 2 water treatment plants, 8 wastewater plants, the same numbers. And I just find the only difference is the number of customers and the flow, but I think that's obviously changing.
Gotcha.
Pretty
Well, like I said,
quick.
I didn't want to interrupt you. I just
Yeah.
wanted to kind of hit on that,
No,
your
thank you.
background a little bit, because I think it's
Yeah.
really impressive and great.
Yeah, thank you. No, I've served, this is probably my 24th year in public service. So whether I'm there or here, I'm very glad to be here. It's still the same mission. You know, we want, our passion is serving water, having water and wastewater services that really enable us to live here and our businesses to thrive. So we've got some great people. As David said, we've made some new hires. Charlie is one of those, and we are so glad to have him. And we're going to go over a state of the authority, and please keep in mind this is a snapshot. We're obviously, it's a work in progress. We're really working hard to deal with the challenges. The challenges are on many fronts, whether it's growth, whether it's regulatory pressures, and we'll get into some of that, and then, of course, answer any questions. But I'll let Charlie kick it off, and I'll do a little bit of it, and we'll kind of tag team here. So thank
Perfect.
you.
Would you prefer us to ask questions during or hold off till the end?
We can take questions.
Okay,
at the end.
perfect. Cool. All right, great. We've known Charlie for a while. We go
Yeah,
back
no,
with Charlie.
a lot of familiar faces.
Yeah, we know
and,
Charlie.
It's a blessing to get to work with y'all at the EDC and now again at Beaufort Jasper Water. And I did want to start just by stating that I really appreciate Mr. Strange's really nice introduction. And we're very fortunate to have Mr. Strange on our board. His financial acumen has been invaluable as we go through this challenging time, and he does a wonderful job of representing the town of Port Royal and representing the authority. So again, thank you, Mr. Strange. And I also wanted to thank the mayor and thank council and Mr. Willis for having us here tonight. There's a lot going on at the authority, and so I will jump right into it. These are the topics that we plan on covering this evening. I'm going to touch a little bit on our mission statement and our vision statement, a little bit about Beaufort Jasper's history and the origin of the authority, some of our present realities and challenges, some regional projects that are critical, where we're at with rates, our capacity fee process, as well as bonding. And then finally, something that I'm very passionate about, our initiative around unsewered and underserved areas. So I did want to start with our mission statement and our vision statement, and there's really 2 general themes that I think are especially relevant to our conversation today. And the first is that our mission statement says that we will provide quality service to not only our current customers of the Lowcountry, but also our future customers. And then the second theme is that within our vision statement, it says that we will provide reliable service and we will be recognized for a dedication to our community and to the environment. And so as we go through our presentation today and talk about various initiatives that we have underway at Beaufort Jasper and various capital projects, I think that you'll see that there's a real purposeful approach to addressing our mission statement and our vision statement. And, you know, I can confidently say that under Ms. Arnett's leadership and under our board's leadership that we have over 270 employees in town of Port Royal, Beaufort County, and Jasper County. And they really live this mission statement, this vision statement every single day. And I do want to talk a little bit about the history of Beaufort. What was that?
Speaking about your employees, you said we could kind of just jump in. Whenever I see your employees, they always speak. They're very friendly. So that goes a long way. That means a lot.
Yes, sir.
You like doing business with people you know, that people make you feel comfortable. And I feel comfortable with your guys, because they always speak.
Yeah, that's good to hear.
Yeah, keep it up.
So I did want to touch a little bit on the history of Beaufort Jasper. It's really a fascinating history, and I think there's some parallels with where we're at today, probably some lessons learned. And up on the screen, these are actually some historical images from about 60 years ago. And it highlights that in the early 1900s, the town of Port Royal, the city of Beaufort, and Beaufort County were reliant upon a well system. And between 1950 and 1960, we actually had the highest population increase on the Atlantic seaboard at 64%. So a story that sounds eerily similar to where we're at as a region today. And between 1950 and 1960, that was largely due to civilians being employed by the military installations. But with that population increase, the well system that the town of Port Royal, the city of Beaufort, and the county were reliant upon began to have salt water leaching into the water-bearing strata. And so we were a region that was challenged by a changing environment. We needed a long-term sustainable solution for potable water. And so the state legislature stepped in. They sat down with the municipalities and with the county. And what was born out of that was the Savannah River Canal Project, the construction of the 18-mile canal from Savannah River to our Chelsea water plant and the formation of the authority. And we still get our water from that Savannah River Canal today. And so as we fast forward 65 years, what does our current system look like? I'm going to pass it off to Verna.
Okay, and as I mentioned before, our service area is around 750 square miles, which from a water authority standpoint is very large. We cover 2 counties, obviously, serve 4 municipalities, of which Port Royal is one. Slightly more water customers than sewer customers. In my opinion, water is probably the easier thing we do. The sewer part of it's harder and it's more expensive. And then we have...
Do we have a lot of septic systems in?
There are a number of septic systems in the county still, which, does have its own challenges.
Sure.
So, and then 7 wholesale customers that we serve. And just a few stats on the water system, as Charlie already talked about, the Savannah River, an 18-mile long canal, which I find really unique. When I first got here, that was one of the things that really caught my attention. It's really brilliant the way they did that, and the cost, if I remember, the cost of that canal was like $800,000, which I cannot imagine what that would cost to build today.
We can get you the plans drawn.
Yeah, yeah, you're about right on that. So we actually have a crew that maintains that canal pretty much all year long. So it does require maintenance, but it certainly provides us with a steady and a very reliable source of water. Our total water treatment plant capacity is 39 million gallons per day. As I said, our average is around 20 million gallons per day. We did have a peak day this past year of around 36. Now, keep in mind, we also have wells that we can supplement the system with, which helps. We have what's called aquifers that we actually store treated water in during the wintertime, and we pull it out during the summer. And we're also doing a plant expansion at our Purrysburg plant. So the Chelsea plant is the one at Snake Road in 170. That's the original plant that's rated for 24 million gallons per day, and the Purrysburg plant is currently at 15, and we're going to be expanding that to 30 million gallons per day. The water system acts as a whole. This whole big area we serve, the water system is all connected. The plants pump into one system, and the water moves around as the pressures fluctuate based on demand. So the benefit to the system of having that Purrysburg expansion, it's going to benefit the North of Broad area, because we can now pretty much dedicate Chelsea to serving North of Broad River, and then Purrysburg is going to be the one serving mainly South of Broad. And then they'll have enough capacity to back each other up too, which is nice. So we're really looking forward to getting that done. Hopefully this spring, summer, we get that expansion online. The distribution system is about 1,500 miles of water mains. We have multiple booster pump stations to keep pressure up. As the water travels far out into the system, it loses pressure because it's basically the energy to get the water out there. So we have to boost it at some places. Obviously, we have fire hydrants, lots of valves. We also store water in the system. And whether it's an elevated tank, which you've probably seen those, and then aquifer storage and recovery is what I was talking about, where we put treated water in the wintertime and use it at peak times during the summer. The wastewater treatment, we have much less wastewater treatment capacity than we do water capacity, and part of that is a significant portion of our water usage in the summer is for irrigation purposes. And when we design water treatment plants, we have to design them for our maximum day. So even though we may use 20 million gallons per day normally, we have to make sure we can provide water for that irrigation demand. So that's why you see some differences in water versus wastewater capacity. We have 3 major treatment plants. That's the Cherry Point and Hardyville plants south of Broad. Those are both, one is just starting expansion, the other is we're planning an expansion. And then, of course, the Port Royal plant is one of our newer plants. It's actually one of my favorite plants in our system is to go and visit Port Royal. It's a nice plant. So those are kind of our 3 workhorses in the system. And then our collection system.
For the audience, some folks are wondering where the Port Royal plant is. Can you tell them where that is? It's off 170 behind Cyclone Voc.
Right.
Voc Rehab, you know what I'm talking about? Cyclone Voc Rehab is? It kind of snakes back there.
Yeah, I know how to get there. I'm not sure of the names of the roads. I know, because I've been there several
Grover Hill,
times.
then you take a right
Yeah.
on Castle Rock, then you go hang right there.
Yeah. So it's out that way.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's another way to get to it. That's just the way I know to get to it, but.
Turn it in a liquor store.
Well, I didn't know that. Okay. Yeah. So, and if you're ever interested in touring any of these plants, we'd be more than happy to set that up for you. It's pretty cool what actually goes on at these plants and what the employees do to clean up the water. Let's see, on our collection system, we have gravity sewer. We have a lot of lift stations. That's one thing about this area. And it's pretty much, you see it in these, it's flat here. And so we don't have gravity that really helps us out that much. So we rely on a lot of little lift stations, and we have about 600 of those in the system, which is a lot. That's a lot to maintain and take care of. But it's what we have to deal with being in the low country and being in this beautiful area.
Is that to pressurize the line or just move water through it? or
It's
what?
to move the sewage, yep.
Okay.
Usually, if you have hills, you can just, and everything flows. Usually sewer systems are designed to flow downhill and they follow natural waterways, right? It's the drainage of the area. But here, you just don't have much of that. So
gotcha.
we end up having to install pump stations, right?
Gotcha. 600 of them.
Yeah. I was a little surprised when I got here about that, but I learned a lot.
David didn't tell you about that.
No. So then on the left part of the slide, just some stats on our availability at our treatment plants. Obviously, we're tracking that very closely and planning our capital infrastructure expansions accordingly. And our realities, these are some of our challenges. I think one thing that's really struck me is the rate of growth here and what normally takes us to design, to site, especially if we're building a new plant, get a permit to discharge water to get the plant designed, constructed, can take 5 years to do all that. And the growth here is happening at a very rapid pace. So we're in the process of really, really looking at that and trying to see if there's ways we can expedite these projects through alternative delivery methods and things like that. System capacity limitations, we also, in addition to building for growth, we have to maintain the infrastructure we have. So we have many projects to do that. I know there's one at Port Royal Treatment Plant that's coming up soon as well to rehab some of the equipment that's out there. The expense of this, as you probably are aware, things have gotten really expensive lately, particularly in the construction area. One of our treatment plants, the Cherry Point expansion, which was begun in 2020, the design for it, it was estimated at $31 million, and it bid in the summer of last year for $107 million. So it's a challenge. The prices of things have just skyrocketed. So again, you know, we're dealing with that and trying to make sure that we're prioritizing our projects appropriately and looking for alternative funding sources and things like that. And in addition, the US EPA has not, they're not shy about regulating, so they've given us a couple of recently regulatory mandates, particularly on the water side. One of those is for PFAS, which is, if you've ever heard of Forever Chemicals, they're like the DuPont. Teflon was one. It's those types of non-stick type things that's used in everyday products that have made their ways to our water supplies. And unfortunately, the Savannah River contains low levels of those compounds, and the US EPA set the regulations right at the level about what we're detecting. So we're working on facilities to remove those. That rule just got approved in 2024. We have to be in compliance by 2029. So the compliance timeline is very short. The treatment processes that have to be added to remove those compounds are extremely expensive, not only on the capital side, but also on the operating side. So, you know, we're doing pilot projects right now to see what the best, most cost-effective technologies will be.
So now, instead of having to be concerned with lead and metal in the water, you got to deal with Teflon.
Well, I think some of the Teflon products have been discontinued, but they still have, there's thousands of these compounds, different chemical structures. But yes, to answer your question, the lead copper rule is the other rule that was finalized last year, later last year. And, you know, fortunately for us, which is different from the utility I came from, we don't have lead service lines in the system.
Was that after 78,
Yeah, they when they discontinued,
in 1970?
yeah. Which is a good thing, because I think there's a lot of utilities that are facing hundreds of millions of dollars worth of issues with lead service lines. But we still are impacted by the rule. We still have to sample for lead and copper, which we do. And then we also, we are required to offer lead testing for daycares and schools.
Right.
And we have a five-year compliance window to do that, so we've started to do that. Usually, and this is my experience from where I came from, the issues are not, even where I was, there were a lot of lead service lines, but the issues tended to be with fixtures inside of some of these facilities that contain lead in them. And so the good news is that's an easy fix. Usually if you have a fixture that has lead in it, you know, when you turn the faucet on, that's going to flush it through. So from a health standpoint, it's not a huge deal, but it's best to get that fixed. So the fixes are not typically super expensive and can be done pretty economically. So we are reaching out to schools and daycares to start that process. Fees, we are going to be increasing our capacity fees for development. We just completed a study to reevaluate those fees and set them at a new level.
That leads into what my question was going to be also, is how does the development of all these new multi-family units impact your capacity or ability to recycle? So that ties in with
Right,
this.
and that's why we're in the process of doing plant expansions. I think the thing that we had to reevaluate, because those capacity fees pay for capacity at these plants. So the construction costs that I talked about a few minutes ago going way up, those costs are now reflected in our fee increases, so that we are assured we're collecting enough money to cover those costs. So the definitely it is an impact. And then our rates, that's probably no surprise to anyone. We're getting a lot of cost increases passed along to us from our vendors. So, unfortunately, nobody likes rate increases, but I think that there's a lot of things that we're doing to try to mitigate those impacts on customers. And then just to show you how our capital program is the kind of where the money's being spent. We're spending a lot of money, a majority of it on our treatment facilities. That includes our, looking at our PFAS treatment. It includes the plant expansions that I spoke of earlier. It also includes rehab and rehabilitation that we're doing at Port Royal. We just started looking at the Chelsea plant. That plant's, 60-some years old, so it's getting to the point where we really need to take a hard look at that and make sure that it gets rehabbed at the right time. And then we have distribution system, pump stations, collection, which is the sewer part of it, and then miscellaneous. But that's just to kind of give you an idea of where the money's going. And then some noteworthy projects, the Perrysburg plan, I talked about that a little while ago. That one almost looks like a bargain at $54 million after we got the Cherry Point bid. But this slide kind of shows you that wastewater capacity is very expensive compared to water capacity. So that one's in the works, Hardyville, and
Can I
then,
ask you a question?
sure.
When you're building these, are local contractors, typically, are they local contractors that are getting the bids, or is it?
Reeves Young is doing Perrysburg, and they are also doing Cherry Point on these bids. The contracting community, I'm just kind of learning
Right.
getting to know them. So I know one thing with these types of projects, contractors are busy, and we've tried to do a lot to make these projects attractive to the bigger contractors to get them in and get better pricing. I know one thing we're interested in too is making sure that, we want the local workforce employed on these projects, so that's important to us as
Sure.
well.
Sure, glad to hear that.
And then this is the Perrysburg plant in action, and the top, all those slides are construction that's currently undergoing. So it's very busy out there, but we hope to get to a point where we're doing a celebratory ribbon cutting this summer sometime as that plant expansion occurs. And then just a few pictures of our Cherry Point plant, which is actually they're kicking off. The contract was signed in November, I think, and then they're actually going to be breaking ground soon. They've been ordering equipment, and that one is just getting started. So we will look very forward to having that one done as well. And with that, I'll turn it over to Charlie.
All right. So this is actually a topic that Councilman George and we've talked about this extensively, and I know the councilman's passionate about it as well, but we have been working quite well with the military installations as of late, and currently we have about $45 million in our capital improvement program that is designated for infrastructure projects that benefit our installations. And I think it's really a conversation that's especially relevant when we're in the town of Port Royal. I think everybody realizes the multi-billion-dollar impact that the military has on our region, and that we're a military-driven community. And at Beaufort Jasper, we're very proud to do our part in mission assurance and investing in critical infrastructure that benefits the base. And myself and Verna, a number of months ago, we had the opportunity to go out to the air station and the privilege to meet with Colonel Bortnam, the commanding officer, and just talk about partnership and collaboration. And we've also been working with Colonel Pugliese quite a bit, who I have to brag on him. He's been fantastic at helping us go up to Columbia and bring state dollars back locally to help fund some of these CIP projects. And so, presently there's $45 million in our capital budget for military installation projects. That's, I think, the start. And it's just the beginning of what we should be doing. And just to kind of break down a few projects and the impact that we're having there, the Laurel Bay residential community is actually served by a wastewater treatment plant. It's a 0.35 MGD plant that was built in 1961. And so it's aged infrastructure, it's in poor condition, and it serves the main housing community for our military installations. And so presently in our CIP, we have a project where we are going to decommission the Laurel Bay wastewater treatment plant. We're going to build a pump station and a force main. It's about a $13 million project, and we're going to channel their effluent into the main Port Royal wastewater treatment plant, and so provide them with a long-term solution. Additionally, we're working with Paris Island right now on a project in our CIP to replace a water line on Berkeley Bridge. Whenever I first began at Beaufort Jasper, I had a conversation with our field operations team, and they told me that the water line that serves Paris Island is one of the water lines that we have the most challenges with leaks in the whole county. And so we're working hard to fix some of these challenges and just do our part to ensure mission assurance for our bases. So this is just a map of our projects throughout the region. Verna highlighted some of our regional projects of significance, but we do have 102 projects in our CIP. They're spread throughout Beaufort County, Jasper County, and all of our municipalities. I will highlight our CIP process has been a very exhaustive process. Our engineering team has conducted a needs assessment on each one of these projects and determined why we need it in our CIP. And I think, we've talked a lot about critical projects and the community benefit, but a very important piece of the conversation is how we fund these projects. And just before the new year, on November 21st, our board approved the first of several bond issuances, a $100 million bond issuance. And we are anticipating between fiscal year 2025 and 2027, $450 million in bond issuance. To support our level of bonding on July 1st, 2024, we did implement a rate increase of about 9 to 10% across the board. And just for illustrative purposes, if you were to take a water and sewer user that was using 3,000 gallons per month before July 1st, 2024, they would have paid $60.31. With our recent rate increase, they would pay $66.13. We are anticipating July 1st of 2025 to have an additional rate increase of 5%. And then subsequent rate increases after that to support our $450 million in bonding. Similarly, we've had a very lengthy process around capacity fees. And in August, our board approved a 3-year phase-in plan around capacity fees. I will note that our top priority, our leadership's top priority, and our board's top priority has been to have a very inclusive process and transparent process around some of these changes. Our engineering team throughout the summer did an excellent job of hosting basically stakeholder meetings with the development community. We brought developers in, contractors in, engineering firms in throughout the month of May and June and asked for their feedback on how we can make these changes less painful. And we heard a few things back from the development community. The first item we heard back was, nobody told us to stop building capacity. I think there's the knowledge within the development community that they know that we need capacity for sustained growth. And so they were supportive and understanding of our capital program and where we're at. One data point that I don't think we brought up, but on June 21st, we actually hit an all-time high as a region for water consumption. We were at 35.6 million gallons of water consumption of our 39 million gallon plant capacity. And so there was an understanding in our developer workshops of where we're at and where we need to go with investing in our infrastructure. The second thing we heard from developers was, is there a way to provide certainty and to provide a future outlook so that they can plan. They can plan for their projects down the road. And then the third item was, is there a way to mitigate some of the cost burden? And so with those three things in mind, we came up with a 3-year phase-in plan. Previously, with our capacity fees, 100% of the capacity fee was paid at pre-con. What our board decided to do was to actually stagger the increase in the capacity fees to where they're paying the same amount at pre-con, but the increase they're paying at meters. And so they no longer have that carrying cost burden that they have to carry throughout the entire construction process. The second item that we did was to provide that 3-year outlook. And I think we're actually one of the only utilities in the state that do this. But we've given developers certainty and a future outlook up until July 1st, 2026 to help with their planning process.
How's that been received by them?
You know, I would say, we have a development program manager, Matthew Michaels, and then our deputy general manager, Paul Vinson, and our chief of engineering, Michael Hansen. They've done a wonderful job with the development community. I mean, their level of communication around these changes has been fantastic, and I really believe that the development community has seen a increased level of service and communication. And although we're in a very challenging time where we're investing in capital projects, and you know, Verna mentioned it earlier, nobody likes rate increases, nobody likes capacity fee increases. I think that the reception has been pretty good.
Yeah. And also, in my experience, y'all must be doing something right, because when it first came out and the talk was out there that we're going to raise rates, like every time I go to some meeting, the development community would be going nuts about it. And that seems to have dissipated. They seem to be getting comfortable with it. So whatever y'all are doing, it must have been working, because they've definitely calmed down from when it was first coming out that we got to raise rates. So whatever you're doing, I think it's definitely working. So
Yes, sir. And I did want to spend a little bit of time on this. This is actually a historical look at where we've been with rates over the past 11 years. But from 2013 to 2024, we actually had 8 years where we raised rates less than 2%. And so I wanted to bring this up because I believe our leadership, our board, there's always been a dedication to keeping rates low when we can. And, you know, obviously we're in a time where we have great service area growth, and so we have a necessity of rate increases. But this is what it's looked like over the past 11 years. And then similarly with capacity fees, from 2014 to 2024, we actually collected $104 million in capacity fees. Over that same time span, we actually spent $134 million on growth-related projects. And then if you were to go just a step further, we have one project right now in our CIP, the Cherry Point expansion project, our wastewater treatment plant expansion, that's $107 million. So we have one single project related to growth that actually surpasses the amount that we collected in capacity fees over the past 10 years. I'm happy to kind of close it out with our underserved initiative. This is something that I'm very passionate about. We've formed a new ad hoc committee that's focused on areas throughout Beaufort County and Jasper County that are unsewered, unwatered, or underserved, that have some level of adverse environmental or public health impact. And it's really an initiative. You know, the first thing I would say is it's an initiative that takes partnership from a lot of different jurisdictions. It takes partnership from the state, the county, the municipalities. Right now, we're working very well with Beaufort County on 3 projects. The project out in Dale, which is off of John Meeks Road. It's a community that is underserved in multiple definitions of the word, but they're threatened by a brownfield site, the old Labico chemical site, and the county's stepping up. They're investing just over $3.5 million to run water lines down there and provide a solution for a public health threat. Additionally, we're working with Beaufort County and the town of Bluffton on Stony Creek. We're transitioning that community from septic to sewer and helping clean up the May River. And we're looking at a similar project for Alljoy right now that's in kind of the funding framework phase. We've also just recently worked with Jasper County to apply for a $17 million grant through EPA through the Community Change Grant Program, and that would also be a septic to sewer project. The Levy community has some real challenges because of their low-lying elevation with septic system inoperability. And so we're working with Levy to look at some avenues to hopefully solve that. And then the last one on this list, it's a little bit of a unique circumstance compared to some of these that have environmental and public health concerns, but it's a project that I've been around since I was at Economic Development, and I know it's a project that the town of Port Royal would like to get done. But, you know, Rebo Road, obviously it's unsewered. And right now, we have a local government ad hoc committee that's looking at potentially rolling out a new partnership program that we're going to be discussing at our board, with our board this month. But again, you know, I think that there's some avenues for partnership down the road where hopefully we can look at some solutions for Rebo Road.
Great. I like how you underlined it.
It's underlined.
Exactly.
It's
That one-
noted.
That's the one underlined. That's good.
Well, well, David and Verna said I didn't have the authority to promise anything
Okay.
tonight.
No, I
so-
understand, yeah.
You can drop a little subtle hint, though, right?
Yeah, yeah.
But no, and that's, and
Drop that in there.
trust me, we completely understand the reality of the world that you guys are working in, but we do love to see you keeping an eye on Rebo Road, and just that road, I see Councilman Scaletti in the back for the city of Beaufort and us. I mean, that's the main thoroughfare through our cities. You got Boundary Street and Rebo Road, and 30,000 people a day going through it, and we just really want to kind of, you know, capture it as much as we can there. And that's when we talk to businesses and development that wants to go in there, that's one of the first things they bring up is, well, what's the sewer situation? And so just thank you so much for having that on there, yeah.
Sure. Verna, I'll let you close it out.
Okay, thank you, Charlie. And just a closing slide, you know, I think you all understand the growth in the area, and we've been talking about some of the challenges. And as Charlie alluded to, you know, there are other challenges. You know, we talked about PFAS, water, you know, regulations, then the septic systems, which was brought up earlier, and you know, part of our mission too is to protect the environment. We take that very seriously. You know, we're working to educate customers on these issues, and my experience is usually when people have an understanding of what we're doing and why we're doing it, the message is accepted. And we've actually hired a new chief of communications, Jeff LaRue, and he has a small team that's really trying to get out into the community and visit community groups to provide our message and just educate people on what we're doing and what their rate increases are going to pay for. So if you have groups, and I would offer that we offer this to anyone, if you have groups that you would request a speaker, we'd be glad to provide Jeff and/or the appropriate person depending on subject. So please keep that in mind for the future. And then ways to partner, Charlie brought that up. Our septic to sewer projects are great examples where, you know, because no one entity can do it themselves. We have community support. We have several different governmental agencies working on these projects, and it's really been a great, I think, model that we're setting up to really try to address some of these issues that have been out there. And you know, with, like I said before, one entity can't do it alone, but together and coming together, there's a lot of synergy in that. So we're going to continue to refine that model and hopefully use it as we go forward. So I think.
One comment to make, I don't know if you noticed, but our priorities over here, our top priority, if you can read it, my eyes are kind of bad this far. What does it say there, Charlie? Sewer. There you go. And we've completed in the past couple of years, we've done a couple of sewer projects. We've got a lot of septic systems in Port Royal, but we've been working with y'all converting some over.
Yeah,
since you were in.
Should do is advocate with Beaufort Jasper Water Authority.
Yep.
Particularly along Rainbow
Yeah,
Road.
yeah, and
Yep.
you know, I think the other advantage of our different, because we have different legal structures, and so there's things that you all can may be eligible for, and if we can partner on getting grants and going after funding, that's where it really is working out well. So yes, we definitely have those on our agenda, and like Charlie said, we're working on a local government initiative to try to find ways to facilitate some of this work.
Cool. Any questions?
No.
Well, Thank you for your presentation.
Thank you.
I was going to ask you a couple really quick. You mentioned the EPA a few times in the utility community. Is there any thoughts on, with the new administration coming in the EPA, any changes to that, or just we'll see what happens?
Oh, there's a lot of talk about that.
We'll see what happens.
Yeah, I think there definitely is a lot of people opining on what exactly is going to happen. And so we're watching that, and I know we're members of several industry organizations that are closely watching those, particularly not so much with PFAS. I think the PFAS rule, there's less ability to change that. It's more some of the lead and copper stuff. There's some other rules that are being proposed that may get either clawed back or not taken forward in a different way. So we definitely are watching that.
Another one, I don't know if you said it or not, but we've talked about it, and I find it fascinating. So I want to see, what percentage of the water in Beaufort County is spent on, goes towards irrigation, waters, lawns?
So about, on a peak summer day, about 50%.
Half the water.
Close to 50%.
Waters, lawns. And, okay. Is there anything that citizens can do? I
Yeah,
mean,
that's a great question, because that's something actually we didn't talk about, which we
I
should
mean,
have.
it's just when you hear we're hitting peak days, we're doing this, and then
Yeah.
you find out half of it's going
Yeah, and so
to the
a
yard.
lot of our water system, like I said before, the capacity that we have to build is based on max day. The facilities out in the system, the pipes, and those have to be based on being able to deliver peak hour flow. So the more we can shave off those peaks, the smaller our infrastructure has to be. So that's why we've been working hard with our irrigation management programs so that, people are, and working with landscapers to set timers so that people are not irrigating. There's certain hours we want people to stay away from. And, not irrigating every day. That's the other thing. If based on your address number, you only irrigate on certain days, that really does help. It really helps with that.
So if you hit a new peak, it makes the cost of everything go up? Y'all got to
Well, it eats
Calibrate
up it eats up our capacity, so we have to build more capacity sooner.
Gotcha. Well, with that, I will say, any messaging that you want to get out, please communicate with
I appreciate that.
us, and we will get that out with all of our social media channels and newsletters and all of that. So if you got, use water if you're on odd numbers, use this day, and even whatever messaging y'all need to get out, look at us as a partner on that. I mean,
Well, thank
we've
you.
got communication channels that we can use for that too, so.
Yeah, no, thank
but-
you, and I appreciate this opportunity to present and meet you all.
Well, and I'll just say thank you, because this was fascinating to me. I think a lot of people, and I find myself doing it sometimes too, you take for granted the luxuries that we have. You flip a switch, light comes on, you hit the water, you hit the faucet, the faucet works and the shower works, and you don't really think about the very sophisticated systems, the men and women that work every day, the investments that actually make all of this work. And so it's mind-blowing. It's very, so just thank you for doing that. Like I said, it puts things into perspective
Yeah, well,
for
thank
me,
you.
so thank
Thank
y'all.
you, and again, I extend a tour anytime y'all
Who do we contact?
like a tour. You can contact me or Charlie, either one, and we'll
yeah.
get it set up for you. But thank you.
Thank y'all.
Thank y'all. Thank you, Charlie.
Thank you, Charlie. All right. Up next, council briefing.
As I was reviewing Michael's update of Town of Port Royal projects, it appears that basically there are no real updates for the first 10 or 11 items. I know we're moving forward with speed humps. We're still anticipating some sort of January start. Nothing firm as of yet. I'll move on to something that's probably got an update. Sands Beach Causeway, staff met with the Greenway, the company that's going to construct it, on January 2nd, and then we're anticipating a 70% design meeting on January 14th. So that's all moving forward.
Yeah, I'll say really quick, I ran into him on Sunday at church, the gentleman working on the pier, the boardwalk, Henry Chambers Boardwalk, and he said, if you go down there, you'll see all the equipment, all the the materials are piled up. He said it should be done by the end of February. That's what he said. So that's the biggest update. Speaking of that, did we want to bring up what we were talking about?
Yeah, just a
We had an idea,
suggestion. Since, the storm tore down the pier, And it's already officially named after Mayor Robinson, but I think that after it's redone, I think we should have a rededication in his honor.
We could do a ribbon cutting.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sure.
Whenever that gets done, yeah, I mean, so,
Just a rededication.
nice.
that'll be fun, yeah.
Big scissors.
Yeah.
Maybe could bring your fishing rod and throw it in the line to really remember him by.
There you go.
Or a crab pot.
Crab pot, yeah, either one. That's it.
And then just real quickly, staff has a meeting with the year-round pool on the 8th with the town as well as Four Waters to discuss the construction drawings for that splash pad. Naval Hospital sidewalk, I did include today an email that we received from the Department of Navy, kind of formalizing, you know, how the ownership and that it's in our hands now, and we're still looking at the February start date of the process of constructing that hospital, or the Naval Hospital sidewalk adjacent to the fence line. So just a little bit more positive. So Safe Harbor, nothing new to report whatsoever. Sands Beach Task Force, they do have the revised concept plan. They're meeting again this week to review that new concept plan. I'll circulate those recommendations after they've had an opportunity to take a look at it. You will be approving next week some work at the park to kind of clean up the trees that are on site now. We did receive 2 bids, and we'll discuss this a little bit later. Then legal, we're probably going to schedule an executive session for next Wednesday to discuss a number of kind of ongoing litigation issues, and we'll get more specific as we kind of move through that. I think we do intend to have a kind of discussion with Lawrence Flynn relative to Safe Harbor tomorrow, and I'll bring you up to speed with that as well. And then I just wanted to make you aware that we were, there was a proposal to increase spending with the Public Defender's Office. Beaufort, Bluffton, and Port Royal have chosen to consider other options. You know, we did go to the private market before to offer public defender services, so Tracy worked on the RFP, so we're issuing that, and we'll be hopefully getting some feedback and some responses so that we will be certain that we're providing the public defender services that we're obligated to do so, which we've always done. So, any questions?
So, just so you know, with Safe Harbor, what he was saying, Lawrence, our attorney with Pope and Flynn, who came down here and did the Pirates Plunge.
Yeah, it was fun.
It was also, you know, so they've got a big phone call tomorrow with an update with them, so we'll have more information. Their phone calls tomorrow afternoon, so we'll have more information then, so.
And he was driving around town picking up Christmas trees to burn also, so if your tree went missing, it's because Lawrence got it.
Okay.
Any questions?
No? Okay, up next, important, well, I don't know, review agenda, I'm sorry for that. Agenda next week's pretty straightforward, not a lot going on, but we do have one big thing, a presentation. I don't know if you guys saw this, but Mayor Henry Robinson unfortunately passed away. And I didn't add it all up, but decades of service to the town, mayor, council member, you know, extraordinary man. I know Mary Beth, there's people up here on this council that know him a lot better than I do. I've met him a handful of times and always had great interactions with him. He definitely loved Port Royal. And, you know, him and his wife were really interesting people. They were foster parents. They told me they fostered over 90 children in the course of their life.
And the state recognized them
yeah.
multiple times for their
90 kids.
job that they did.
Amazing.
And some of them, they were telling me stories. Some of them have now gone up and they work here locally. They work and you know, for programs and you know, they're very involved in the community and locally here. And I think that's great. That's a testament that them being involved in the foster program. And so we'll be doing that. That'll be important. Then we've got our audit, of course.
Well, just kind of ironic that we're doing the Henry Robinson dedication the same night as the audit, because he'd always listen to the audit, then at the very end goes, so how are we doing?
Yeah.
Well, we'll ask her that.
Famous last words.
Yeah.
Okay, up next, we've got a second reading for the sidewalk construction that we just discussed in the public workshop. Council action, got to appoint a board member to the Regional Housing Trust. Approval of the tree proposal for Sands Beach Park that we just discussed.
Yep.
And then some other important dates coming up there, but we'll talk about those. I was looking at some of the upcoming dates. the only reason I bring it up is I just saw them at the Low Country Young Professionals. There was somebody, the Buford Eagles football, they got that oyster roast at
Yeah, they
Lagos
came
Park.
and
Yes.
presented.
Yeah, you talk, that's in January, right? I believe it's like January.
I think it's,
So I just didn't know if we could get something on, put that up on the important dates, put something out there, try to help raise some money for the,
yeah, we do have their flyers out, maybe we can
Okay,
get
perfect.
the PDF of it. maybe.
yeah, just push something
Yeah.
out there, try to, raise some money for the athletic program over at Buford High. I didn't see any other dates or anything. I don't know if anybody wanted to add anything.
No, sir.
For January. Oh, joint meeting coming up.
Oh, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely, that's on there. So we have our council meeting the 15th, which is next Wednesday, and then we're doing a joint council meeting in this chambers, right?
Correct.
With the city of Beaufort. That'll be the 16th, so the day after. Yep.
Day after.
Yes, sir. So we got Friday meeting with the town, and then our first one of the year, which I think is great, kind of get started, get everybody on the same page with the city of Beaufort on the
It's our
16th.
First time having a meeting actually on the third Wednesday instead of the second.
Is it?
Yeah.
Let's go back.
Because the first Wednesday came in on the first.
Yep.
So that's Ruth's Chris, right? That's what we're.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. All right. Okay, important dates. Any other dates anyone wants to add or anything? No, important dates. All right, public comment. We've got one. Mr. Scott Clark, come on down.
I like the two.
Hey, everybody.
And I will say, that was
Lisa,
so
I
much
want to
fun. when-
apologize. I'm going to go about
Oh,
18
yeah.
seconds over.
Well, I'll just say before you start, and this, this is workshop, we're having a good time, but, I was glad that the police were able to get over on your yard and arrest that unruly gentleman. I mean, that was getting out of
Bye.
control over there. So I'm glad that they could handle that.
We had a lot of fun with that.
Yeah. So,
We did. Good evening, Mayor and Council. As you know, Scott Clark with the Friends of Port Royal Cypress Wetlands. I hope everybody's had an opportunity to get out to the amphitheater to see the new dual viewing scope that the Friends of Port Royal Cypress Wetlands donated to the town. If you haven't been over, it's two scopes. One of them is adult viewing height, and the other one is wheelchair accessible, which is also just perfect for kids. And I got to say, every time that Patty and I have been over there, somebody's been at the viewing scope. So it's obviously being well received. So we really appreciate that. Also wanted to remind everybody about the speaker spotlight or speaker series that we have coming up at the at Shell Ring. It's the entire first quarter of this year. The speaker series will be held, as I said, at Shell Ring, and it will consist of 4 speakers. All of them are experts in coastal wildlife and the environment. The 4 events all start at 5:30. The first one will be Wednesday, January 22nd, and it will feature Dr. Andy Jones, and he will be discussing why the wetlands are so important to birds. The second meeting is Wednesday, February 19th, and will feature Dr. Thomas Rainwater, and my wife will like this. The presentation is entitled All About Gators. The third meeting is March 19th and will feature Tony Mills. Most of you, I think all of you know Tony Mills. He is going to be telling us about a lot of the various animals and plants that live in and around the wetlands. And the last speaker is going to be on April 23rd. And that's just days before the Birthday for the Birds event this year. And we'll feature Dr. Travis Folk, and he will tell us all about the history of the cypress wetlands. And for those of you that don't know, Travis's father was instrumental in the design and construction of the cypress wetlands. So he's going to be bringing a whole bunch of extra photos and stuff like that from the actual construction, before and after. Shell Ring has crafted a special brew specifically for the event, for the 4 events, and it's an extra special bitter. Don't ask me what that is, but it's made with cypress wood.
Are they
and
premiering that at the first night?
At the very first
The
meeting.
22nd?
Yes, and they have agreed to donate $1 for every single beer that's sold, and with everything going to the cypress wetlands. I personally want to invite the mayor, council, staff, police department, fire department, Josh, the entire public to come to this thing. I guarantee you, you're going to learn something, and it's going to be a lot of fun. So
What time is it again?
it starts at 5:30.
5:30.
Yeah, there's no way we'll get
It's gonna be
that
tough.
time.
So we'll be at the other ones, but we've got our annual Municipal Association of South Carolina Conference.
Oh.
In Columbia, the
Okay.
21st and the 22nd. So we've got
Okay.
classes on the 22nd. Maybe we could dip out a little early and hit the road, but
Okay.
we'll see. Yeah, yeah.
Well, good. Also, I want, as part of the speaker series, we will be doing an auction, an online auction. We have been very fortunate to partner with many of the local business owners, Port Royal and the town of Beaufort, who have agreed to donate merchandise and gift cards for the auction. The auction will start on January 22nd and will run through the second meeting, which is on February 19th. You will be able to get on the auction site on the 22nd, and we encourage everyone to bid on as many items and bid early and often, because it goes to a good cause. All monies raised goes to the Friends of Port Royal Cypress Wetlands. So it's going to be a lot of fun. The auction should be a lot of fun as well, so please participate in that as well. And I'm going to drop off 2 posters for here to Lisa for the town. Hopefully put one out on the billboard outside and one of them inside. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. I will say the birds right now at sunset are
Oh, my
just
gosh.
amazing.
I
It is so cold.
They are, I mean, I've been taking Evie, the little viewing, whatever you want to call it, over there off Richmond, because they are just all around it. I mean, they are right beside you, right there. I've been taking, I mean, I would get off work and drive by it. It's, I mean, they are, I've never seen that many right now.
Yeah, the black-crowned night herons hang out on the pavilion
Yep.
side, all in the trees there.
And it's so cool. You can sit there and watch them coming in
Yeah.
from the other side. They come in and you just watch them drop in and stuff. Yeah, we've been doing that.
It's like Pearl Harbor.
Yeah, it's been what's crazy. Yeah, we've been watching them, so. That's, yeah, they do drop some bombs. Yeah. But, okay, all right. I didn't have any other things, but it is workshop. Any other public comment? Councilman Josh Scaletti from beautiful city of Beaufort. Any updates from the city of Beaufort?
No updates. I'll just say, as a property owner in Port Royal, I'm very thankful for this council and your dedication to community involvement and transparency. I do appreciate you guys a lot. I look forward to our joint session on the 16th. Quick reminder, we do have the Oyster Festival coming up on the 18th and the 19th. That's downtown.
Oh, yeah.
And we have,
I'm a Jed.
for the walkers and runners, we have the Oyster Boogie,
Mhm.
which starts at 8 in the morning on the 18th, and then the festival will be the 18th and 19th. So it kicks off at 10 o'clock both days. So
Great.
hopefully we'll see you out there.
You definitely will.
You'll definitely see me.
It'll probably take me to the 19th
Are
to
we
finish
still,
it.
we're doing Mardi Gras?
Yeah.
22nd.
February 22nd.
Mardi Gras is February 22nd. Okay.
We got to figure that out.
Well,
We'll get it cranked up. All right. Any other public comment before we close it? Okay, all right. Seeing as no other public comment, anything from council?
Nope.
All right.
Yes, welcome.
Well, thank y'all so much. Well, 2025, we're here. We made it. Let's make it a great one.
Yep.
Entertain a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
All right.